Hello, this is Jack, sometimes known as Old Man Vape, and my continuing reviews of vape shops around the Phoenix area, and I guess Avondale too. The other day I did one review and I said I would do one on high tech, and here it is. I just did a wonderful, wonderful um, review on high tech, and after looking at some of their photos and some of their uh, pictures of their vape shop, I was all wrong. I said in the review they didn't have very much seating, all that other stuff, and that was one of the negatives. But I had 100 positives about them because I really like high tech. Uh, so I had to throw away that review and delete it and never see it again. Okay. The one I've been to is on Northern in Phoenix. Okay. That's the one close to my house. That's the smaller one. They got one in Avondale. I gotta go there. Where's Avondale? Well, it's someplace in this area. I just gotta find it. I looked at the pictures of the stores. They got couches, they got chairs, they got like this area where you can sit up there to the counter, talk to the guy behind it. They got a big screen TV there too, up on the wall. I guess you can watch sports, or me, I want to watch, like Forrest Gump or something like that on it. I don't know if you can request movies, but it looked nice, and it's big. Where their store in Northern is a little small, but that's the one I went to. Okay, now here's my story of high tech vapor. Okay, when I first got into vaping, like 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, 3 years ago, well, 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago. You know how you get those little pins, the battery pins and all that with the plastic tanks and all that stuff. Uh, I got one of those, had a setup, and where I bought it from, they set me up and all that and sent me out. And it was pretty far from my house. Well, I started, I'd be vaping on, not smoking any cigarettes. I haven't smoked a cigarette since I started vaping. All right. And I'll be darned if the thing wouldn't leak, and, uh, you know, tasting these crappy juices in my mouth, and yuck, it was terrible. So I looked up on the internet to see if there was a vape shop closer, and there was, High Tech Vape. So I went over there, and I vaped on it, and blah, blah, blah. Well, when I vaped on those pins, I would, like I did a cigarette, I would, you know, like I was smoking a joint, which I don't do. Uh, and I was sucking all that juice into my mouth. Well, the owner of the place was there. He came over and, grabbed that pen out of my hand. He goes, "Do not vape it like that so hard on these pens and all that stuff. You got to do it slowly and let the smoke go in your mouth." He cleaned my tank and all that. See, I went in there to buy a pricey tank. He said, "You don't need to buy a pricey tank. Uh, when you're ready to upgrade, we'll set you up and all that." showed me how to clean it. He showed me how to do it. And he talked me out of spending money I didn't need to spend. I mean, that is great. So I left there and all that. And a few months later, or month later, I saved up my money and I got a SVD, the first one that came out and all that. And I got an Atlantis tank, or not Atlantis, a Nautilus tank, Aspire Nautilus tank. Oh, yeah, I was shitting in high cotton. Bought a couple batteries and a charger. I thought life was wonderful, okay? And I loved that thing. Um, about 3, 4 months later, um, the 510 connector or the 510 screws on it got stripped. Okay, none of my tanks worked on it anymore, and I was depressed. I knew I had to do something, because in order for me to vape, I had to hold the tank on there and do this, and you know, it was a hassle. So I called up some vape shops. I was at work over there on Cave Creek, and first one I called up was Vapor Ice. Talked to the guy. Uh, Said he couldn't help me. Okay. Next one I called up was this old smoke shop. Talked to the guy. He couldn't help me. Okay. Then I thought, well, I could just go over to High Tech later on. So I called up High Tech because I didn't want to make that trip out there with, you know, if they couldn't help me, because nobody else could help me. Why should they be able to help me? The guy that answered the phone, this young guy, blonde headed, whatever, I don't even know if he still works there. As soon as I told him the problem, he goes, well, I'm not sure what to do, but bring it in. We'll help you. Now, he didn't know I bought it there, okay? And he didn't know me, okay? I'm just some random customer or random guy calling him for help. And he said, come on by. Let me see what I can do for you. Can you, you know, you can't ask for better than that, can you? You know? I mean, I was blown away. So I go over there later on that day with the tank and the uh, SVD and all that stuff. And he tried to see what was wrong with it, and he said, yeah, they're stripped out. And he goes, there's not much you can do. But I got an idea. Oh, yeah. He was thinking outside of the box. He got a connector, like one of those 510 to 510 connectors, that you put on there. And he put it in there, and he goes, yes, this will go down, it'll hit and all that stuff. He goes, get yourself some glue, but be careful you don't put it between the pin and the connector. Put it on the sides and glue it in. Make sure it's tight. Take out the batteries. Make sure it's tight. And when it dries out and it's there, he goes, maybe it'll work. And sure enough, it worked. Now, it looked kind of funny. I didn't care. I'm back to vaping again. Okay? The other story I have is it was at the Vapor Dynasty Expo. Not the last one, but the one before that. I bought this mechanical mod, not from High Tech, but I bought this mechanical mod. This is when I started getting into dripping. Okay. Yes, I'm moving along. This mechanical mod, I mean, yes, I'm new in it and all this other stuff, but it wouldn't work worth shit. Kept having to adjust it, kept doing this. I mean, it was way more complicated than this old man could handle. Okay, I was at the Vapor Dynasty, and again, I went up to this high tech booth, and again, I ran into the owner. He goes, "Yeah, I could sell you all these real expensive ones and all that." He goes, "But here's a very inexpensive one uh, that works really great. You don't have to do a lot of things to it. Every now and then adjust the pin if it comes out, but you know, it works fine." So I took my RDA and put it on that one and, put the batteries in there, and guess what? Yep, it worked great. In fact, I still got it. I got 6 or 7 of those mechanical mods that occasionally I use now because I've really gotten into box mods, but that was wonderful. Again, I was willing to spend more money when I didn't need to. He talked me into buying a less expensive one that was within my knowledge range that I could, learn. Now, I got other ones as I got more knowledgeable and, understood more how they worked and all that stuff. But this guy, I thought, this shop is really great. Now, this is where I fucked up on my last video that I deleted and you will never see it. I said, well, I said all these wonderful things up to this point. And then I said, but one of the negatives, they hardly have any seating. They hardly, you know, all that stuff. Uh, they didn't have a good selection on coils. In fact, I don't know if they have any of the sub-ohm coils. Maybe they do. Okay, and but the person I talked to, didn't said they didn't at the one on Northern. Okay, now what I said was untrue. Okay, this was my experience at the Northern store. The Avondale store is wonderful. It's large. It's asking you to come in and hang out. The one on Northern you can hang out in, but it's not as comfortable. Okay, comfortable. But, and then the thing about having these coils that I wanted, well, I looked at their product line. Oh my God, they carry. You just can't carry everything. That's just the bottom line. But they got such a wide selection, I mean, and varied selection that, you know, it makes everything right. I mean, oh, you don't have that? Well, and then you look around and the whole place is full of product that pretty much from the low end to the high end. How are their prices? Well, they're competitive. Okay, they're there. They got to make money. If they don't make money, they don't stay open. Uh, but they're competitive. Uh, Customer service. I asked that fatal question. I talked to a guy named Brandon over there in the Northern store, and you're not going to meet a nicer guy. Uh, Brandon, I asked that question with all the vape shops around, what makes your store the kind of vape shop that people want to come into? He answered it perfect. You know, uh, Customer service, and what he had to say about customer service was right on, right to the point. I mean, it was good. Everything I wanted to hear. And the next thing was knowledge of product. And Brandon did demonstrate he had a wide knowledge of product. And he said the same thing that the owner told me a couple years earlier, that if he sees somebody wants something, but he knows it isn't the right thing for them, rather than rather than them wasting money on it, he'll explain to them a different way, a less expensive way um, to do it. And I'm thinking, is this a tradition? They train these people well. And, Brandon probably deserves a little bit of a raise, but you didn't hear that from me. So I got all of us together and put our heads together about high tech vape. And let me tell you, if you get a chance to go visit them. Okay, if you get a chance, they got a website. I'll put it on the screen when I do my little thing to it. Um, Check them out. You'll be glad you did. Okay. Um, I want to go to that store in Avondale. You know, maybe take a little blankie and take a nap on the couch, because when you get to be my age, naps are really important. Bathrooms and naps. Anyway, this is Jack, sometimes known as Old Man Vape, wishing you all the love and thanking you for letting me be a part of your lives. And I hope this review helps you. Thank you.